time for us to do business. Kukutime is standing by. Could we hear something on rent control fraud issues?
Well, definitely, Nana, they are the people who are supposed to help you anytime you have difficulties with that tenancy issue or rent issues with your landlords. But this time around, those regulators are rather turning around, allegedly duping some people who are interested in renting apartments. So we'll go straight to that story in just about a short while. Okay, so let's take the details of that particular story. The rent control has defrauded several landladies and tenants of more than 150,000 cedis, translating into 1.5 billion old Ghana cedis. A former rent officer, Fred Teria, is alleged to be the man behind the act. He is alleged to be on retirement, but the victim, TV3, spoke to suspects. The entire rent control office is covering the whole act up.
Is expected to be an arbiter between owners of homes and tenants. By law, the officer could take money on behalf of the owners or tenants.
And that of the rent regulations of 1964, LI 369. So if you go through the rent regulations of 1964, we have regulation 13, paragraph 2 of regulation 30, gives the rent officer the mandate to receive sums on behalf of parties.
A law that could be leading some rent officers into defrauding people. A year ago, Stephen Akote had issues with his landlady, and Fred Teria was expected to be the arbiter. His landlady was to deposit 4,500 Ghana cedis with a rent officer, but till today, he did not get the full sum. Stephen alleges the rent officer took 2,800 from his landlady on his behalf. The 900 Ghana cedis was then collected by the courts later, but an amount of 1,100 is still with the rent control. When he went to the office to take his money from the rent officer Fred Teria, he told him he was not carrying the money that day. For over a year now, the money is still not returned. TV3 investigates gathered from the current director of the rent control. Mr. Teria had defrauded others to the tune of 150,000 Ghana cedis. These were monies he collected on behalf of landladies and tenants and never returned. Stephen Akote suspects the whole rent control of cover-up. So we were at the rent control to find out for ourselves the truth. Initially, the rent officer did not want to make comments on the matter and begged us not to show the interview. The receipts that Fred Teria had issued his victims were fake.
An officer has absconded with clients' money, and we are seriously investigating that.
I don't know. I mean, what kind of investigation are you doing? Because if Mr. Dombo is talking about huge sums of money, as much as over 150,000 Ghana cedis, then I'm wondering what kind of investigation you're doing.
It is a matter that, it's a criminal offense, which as a department, what we can do is to hand over the officers to the police to continue with investigations.
This receipt was signed by one Ampofo, the current regional gentleman, and this receipt is signed by Mr. Fred Teria. Are these two receipts not the same?
The receipts are not the same. It bears different signatures.
Of course.
Yeah, with the signature does not even have a name. There's no name attached to the signature. So I might not even know the officer who signed on both receipts. You understand?
This is Mr. Ampofo's signature.
I may not know.
Okay, but is it likely that these two receipts are fake?
There's something that I can't,
But is this the rent control's receipts? Because all of these are officers' receipts coming from two of this is your immediate past regional director and this is your current regional director. So if you're telling me that these two receipts do not bear names, then these two receipts are fake.
Fred Teria is said to be on retirement, so who pays his victims? The rent control boss has asked Fred Teria's victims to go to court, but was his subordinate not acting on behalf of the rent control?
Okay, so this particular story is exclusive to TV3. Definitely we will dig out all the issues. You should definitely be expecting the part 2 of this story. Well, Delio Fori will stay on it, and definitely we'll be here to deliver the story anytime it comes to our decks. We're looking at other stories, and here financial analyst John Gachi says microfinance institutions need a body to coordinate and guide their activities while championing their concerns. John Gachi said such a body should build capacities and improve ratings for the institutions according to their performance to further build confidence in the microfinance companies.
If you go to the rural banks and community banks, they have the APS bank addressing their needs directly. In fact, if you have a convoluted chain of dealing with institutions operating in the microfinance sector, there will be delays, there will be a lot of bureaucracy. But with the APS bank, the chain is shortened.
Okay.
So I think what the microfinance institution needs now is something like APS bank for them, who can quickly address their issues. One challenge that we normally find with regulators, especially the central bank, is how they should become proactive. Many a times the issues happen many times before they react. That is not what we want to see. Foreign entities who want to partner with microfinance institutions in the country, they allow the microfinance institution to go through what we call voluntary rating. And if they pass the test before, they channel their money through them. So we also need to empower the Microfinance Association itself to begin to do some of these internal ratings of the microfinance institutions in the country. But we also need to be looking at microfinance as a key partner in financial intermediation to see if we get to the point that we can give more confidence to what they are doing. Then we need to broaden the portfolio of businesses that they do.
All right, so just before we go, some news just coming in. The Electricity Company of Ghana would from next week replace all meters at bungalows, ministers, that's for deputy ministers and presidential staffers with prepaid meters. Well, early on, the President, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, requested for this. The move is to cut down costs. And then definitely this particular story is hitting our screens in our subsequent bulletin. Do stay with us as we bring you more on Midday Live. My name is Kwikutamin.